Follow the White Rabbit. Down, down, down the hole of confusion. White Rabbit has been the name of a few characters at DC Comics, and it's most likely more well known as a character from Marvel Comics. That is aside of the people who instantly make the Alice in Wonderland connection. The Marvel Comics version is Lorena Dodson, who debuted in Marvel Team Up 131 in 1983. The version we're about to talk about is Jana Hudson. This character hails from the New 52 era, so she is not to be confused with Angora Lapin, a weapons dealer who tangled with Steel in the 90s, or the villain from Shadow Pack in the 2000s. This version has quite the Play Bunny look, and a backstory that has not been fully explored to this day, as well as a vacillating power set. There are many comics and eras here to explore, so let's get started. And if you're looking for a great way to get into or explore a lot of comics, I'm thrilled to announce that this video is sponsored by globalcomix. Globalcomix is a digital entertainment platform that is host to a wide array of comics. Different genres, different companies, different eras, all of which you can access through your phone. And it has a very intuitive UI that's easy to use. It's a pleasant user experience, so you can control how the layout looks. You can also customize it to your taste quite intensely.
Organized crime, different than regular crime.
They've got manga, they've got web comics, they've got European comics, they've got North American comics. It's, in general, a great way to check out if a series is for you or not. Time of recording, I've been using the app to check out a bunch of spooky things for Spooky Month. As of September 10th, 2024, they're now also home to Dark Horse comics. So things like Black Hammer, Hellboy. If you read a lot of different types of comics or want to, this is a great way to start. They also have something I'm a big fan of, which is offline mode. So you can download your comic and read it offline. You can sign up for free, or you can get a membership so you can access more titles and series all at once. I have a link for you down below in the description. And if you click the link, you can use my code GCXCasually for 33% off your membership. I've read so many things since getting this app, and I can't wait to talk about a bunch of them with you. We're about to go on many wonderful journeys together. So if you're interested in all that, check them out. And now back to chasing that White Rabbit. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and let's go. The version of White Rabbit we're going to be looking at debuted in Batman The Dark Knight #1 in 2011 in the story Night Terrors. With like how they did the last one in 2023, the Knight spelled like Knights of the Round Table, The Dark Knight. It was written by David Finch and Paul Jenkins with art by Finch. The inks were by Richard Friend and colors by Alex Sinclair. Also, this was the second comic by the same name that came out in 2011. It was part of the whole reboot relaunch thing, so looking it up at points can be a little bit difficult. You have to specify that as The Dark Knight Volume 2. And then also that it's not The Dark Knight Returns. This comic was part of the New 52 line-wide reboot, and so was going on at the same time as Scott Snyder's Court of Owls. However, the two don't really interconnect, and they do feel very much like separate works. The Batman in this book does not feel like the Batman in that book. You're getting a different experience, a different flavor over at The Dark Knight. At points, it feels like a fever dream. Now, White Rabbit appears in issue 1, near the start of the story at a benefit event where Bruce is also speaking about the future of Gotham, which is the one thing that kind of feels the same as the mainline book, and then it just pivots. Here he meets Jana Hudson, who butts in and saves him from an awkward conversation he's having where he's being questioned about his connection to Batman and funding him, and it's all very tense. Jana Hudson, tonight's little function aims to raise money for those left homeless by the Karachi floods, so think of me as your impromptu hostess. Please let me know if there's a problem of any kind. I trust I'm not interrupting anything. As a matter of fact, you are, miss. This is a private conversation. You know, for a private conversation, it sure is loud and very public.
Everything's fine, Miss Hudson. The lieutenant was just leaving.
Sure I was. Be seeing you soon, Mr. Wayne. Call me Jay. My friends do. She is instantly aggressively into Bruce, flirting with him intensely, and he's into her too, but I mean, not as much as she is. The way they draw her with the gazing doe eyes.
So you're Tom Hudson's daughter. I knew your father, just before they made him a diplomatic attaché to Mumbai.
You must have been very young.
Flattery will get you everywhere, Miss Hudson. I've heard your mother is just as beautiful as you.
Ooh, flattery will get you everywhere, Mr. Wayne. She's so thirsty for him. This same issue, there's a breakout at Arkham because of an explosion, and the villains who escape are crazed, and also we'll see later on, huge. It's in this that we get the infamous One-Face panel from a roided out Harvey Dent.
One Face!
The birth of One-Face. It's because he's injected with a whole bunch of drugs and it makes them really aggressive and really huge, and that's going to be one of the mysteries of this arc. Who's making it? How? Where? But before Batman encounters One-Face, he sees the White Rabbit. White Rabbit's design is quite clearly designed with maximum Playboy Bunny aesthetic appeal. There is no in-story reason for it, which sometimes costumes will attempt to be attached to a theme or some kind of thing happening in the world. The best one can do is that it's just vaguely attached to the fact that they have the White Rabbit Alice in Wonderland motif, but even so, it's also quite clearly a
Tiny bit fetish bait.
It's very cheeky. But they do have some dialogue playing with the idea of him chasing a white rabbit and all of those things. Throughout this arc, he's going to be following her, kinda. Not really. It's more like she pops up places, but there is a vague energy of him chasing her. This is a joke that the comic makes itself in issue 2.
Anything on the girl?
A half-naked girl in white lingerie. No doubt the World Wide Web is replete with such images, Master Bruce. I shall do my utmost to sort through them all. Gross. From the start, she's a mysterious figure who's just popping up close to his villains, and he's not sure why. She's playing in this area of, does she want to help him? Does she want to hurt him? She tells him to chase her, but also tries to inject him with the drug. Very early on, the comics start to plant the seed for the idea that Jaina and White Rabbit are the same person. You'll get there a whole lot quicker if you chase me. I can't talk about issue 2 without showing you the yoked out Joker panel with her on top of him, just because it's funny. We love a roided out Joker reference. It doesn't really have a bearing on anything, and it's also not the Joker, it's Clayface. A lot of things in this arc happen for that shocking visual moment more so than for a narrative reason. Sometimes they're kind of tied together, but other times it's so you can have wonderful moments like One Face or the Jonkler. This is one of those come along for the ride arcs, and some will enjoy it and others won't. Issue 3 plays up the connection between Jaina and White Rabbit, with Bruce being suspicious when he's on a date with Jaina, but he's dissuaded because a crime report pops up showing that White Rabbit is doing something while they're on this date. There's not much to the Bruce-Jaina romance except that she does seem to like him a lot, for reasons, she just does. But he ends up having to put Batman before her, and so by issue 4 he's already blowing her off, making excuses, canceling dates. Issue 6 plays with linking the character to her book inspiration. Is she a guide? Is she someone in over her head, afraid of losing hers?
I've seen this sort of thing before, you know. A young woman, budding with psychopathy, falls in with a master of the form. I'm sure your family is very proud.
Ooh, bullseye! You sure know how to break hearts, don't you? I knew you had it in you, Mr. Holmes. But since you've got it all figured out, tell me something. This line here is important because there are parts of this arc that feel like it was supposed to go in a different direction. Because that sounds like he's figured out, what we're about to figure out, that Jaina and White Rabbit are the same person, but they don't come back to it. And then they have later lines where it makes it sound like he doesn't. So that could also just be a generic shaming. So White Rabbit hops through this arc, pun intended, of Batman recapturing these villains. She goes from villain to villain. Scene first, then Two-Face shows up, the Jonkler / Clayface, which could actually be a Silver Age reference to a story where Clayface did pretend to be the Joker. There's an affiliation with Scarecrow, but the biggest one is Bane. But there's no reason given for it, no motivation. Even in issue 7, when the big reveal comes that Jaina and White Rabbit are indeed the same person. Sort of.
This week is looking a little difficult.
Sounds like a kiss-off. You think your boy Bruce found out about us? No one knows about us. Maybe I'm just not his type. Or maybe Batman got wise and tipped him off. Trust me, the Bat's a hot mess, and he's clueless. He's so busy chasing shadows, his brain is tied up in a knot. Here, chasing shadows. I like that. Not that he's ever gonna catch up. Not when I can be 2 places at once. Ignore the whole next Wonderland. Despite her being on the cover and it being a Mad Hatter issue, she's not in it, which again makes it feel like it was supposed to go somewhere else. There are a bunch of villain tie-ins from this era as they lead up to Forever Evil. She's in the one with Clayface, in the one with Bane, but she's just a background character. She has a few lines at the villain bar, or she's seen working with Bane. But there's nothing really more added there to flesh her out. Because after this big reveal, White Rabbit would just pop up in cameos for years until the 2020s. So let's recap what little there is to know. Jaina Hudson is a socialite. She moves in the same circles as Bruce Wayne. She appears to be mixed race, the daughter of a diplomat and a Bollywood actress. She, or rather her persona, commits crimes for reasons. She can split herself off into another person who looks entirely different from her. White Rabbit isn't explicitly stated or shown as having any powers. Outside of the initial splitting, of course. No super speed, no teleportation, nothing like that. Yes, she does pop up places a lot, but that doesn't seem to be because she has any powers. It may just be how the panels are laid out or that she's meant to be mysterious. The two are not shown to share brainwave or thought patterns at this point, or to be overtly connected in this run. It also appears they need to touch to refuse. Jaina has no motivation at all that's shown. At one point in issue 7, when Batman rescues Poison Ivy, who's been held captive because parts of her are being used, or rather her pheromone or essence for the drug, he discusses White Rabbit with her.
I'll think of something. What about the White Rabbit? Where does she fit in this?
She's only as loyal to Bane as the money he pays her. What is she to you?
I don't know the answer to that.
Then you'd better figure it out. And he never did. Now, much has been said in some corners of the internet of the fact that Jaina and White Rabbit have different skin tones. Some deem it problematic. Others ponder if it's a commentary on her mixed race background. Some wonder if she was able to choose how she looked, or if with some kind of genetic separation. They're all interesting ideas to think about, but anything that's there would need to be inferred or added by the reader. It hasn't been explored by the text in any way. Time for recording. Jaina doesn't really have much of an inner life. She barely has a personality. The difference in appearance seems to be there purely to facilitate the mystery of how could they be the same person and make it more surprising when they are. Now, could this have been done with the characters having the same skin tone? Yes, but it wouldn't have been as surprising a reveal, especially because they started seeding those dialogue cues. It would have been one of those mysteries that one probably already knew the answer to and then was just waiting for, a la Hush. And a lot of this arc, as mentioned, is about those big, shocking art moments. It was partially written at points by an artist, so that does make sense that there's such a heavy emphasis and thought process put towards the visual. For Jaina, character took a back seat. She's not even connected to the villain with whom she shares a theme. There's no reason for her to be doing any of this that we can see. She's rich and seems happy enough. Perhaps she's bored. In her first arc, it's very much this is a thing that happened. But what about later? The character would appear in Future State, popping up in Dark Detective, Gotham, across. And it's the one place she was tied to the Mad Hatter, using his tech. This was in 2021. She had a decent role here. The Jaina duality didn't really come up, but this outing is kind of an out-of-continuity story at this point. But she was there. The character would be revisited by Joshua Williamson in his first arc of his run on Batman and Robin in 2023, starting in the first issue. Here, she's had a bit of a redesign. Less risque costume party, but still maintaining the playful element. They're still also playing with the Alice in Wonderland themes, now more overtly. She's speaking lines such as, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. They were a bit more coy in the first outing. She also has a gang of bunnies, and she's pulling crimes, and it appears that she's an established villain. Well, Pooh, why does someone in tights always ruin our fun? Looks like it's time I escape down the rabbit hole.
Too bad you're late for a very important date in Blackgate.
This arc that she's part of is mainly about Shush, or Madam Harsh. It's about her origins and connection to Damian Wayne. White Rabbit is a key part of the plot, however, as they need to interrogate her to find out who's behind the kidnapping of a prominent scientist and changing the terrific trio into actual hybrids. She's also a person that Shush is trying to get back, so she's very much an integral piece. Hey, where's my lawyer at? I get a phone call. You can't just keep me locked up like this.
She dresses up as a rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, right? Why is she our problem, not Arkham Towers?
Maybe once the cops interrogate her, they'll see she's nuts and take her off our hands. If dressing up in a costume in Gotham City was enough to go to Arkham Tower, everyone would be there. The dynamic duo end up having to save and protect her, and also kind of work with her. White Rabbit here still has that playful personality, but these sexy, flirtatious elements have been toned down a little bit, and it lends itself to a cute dynamic between her, Batman, and Robin, who in this case is Damian. Overall, she's fairly fun in this story.
Leaves us, sweetie. Oh, we're hungry.
And I'm sick of you trying to eat me. That being said, there is one thing some may have noted at this point. There's no Jaina. There's no mention of Jaina. There's no Jaina sightings. If one was not aware of the character in the past, one wouldn't even know that there was any kind of other person splitting off, anything like that. White Rabbit just seems like her own entity. The only reason to assume that they are the same character is because why would they not be? And she does vaguely make a reference to already having tangled with Batman. But once again with White Rabbit, many things need to be inferred. There are some things one can imagine from this, which is that Jaina and her are separate entities. She can operate independently for long periods of time, and she can't just teleport or be moved around by Jaina. She also doesn't have super speed or anything like that. She does have some fighting skills. Well, I didn't like being used, but also, once Shush tried to kill me, I was sort of furious.
They could still come for you.
Revenge. Maybe. But I have a feeling they're gonna want to lie low for a minute, and they won't want to mess with me now that we're the dynamic trio, right? Time for recording, White Rabbit has had one more big appearance, and that is the Gotham City Sirens miniseries from 2024 by Leah Williams. The 4-issue series that we went through issue by issue. I'll link all of them down below. White Rabbit and Jaina were important parts of this story. We see them actually split off from each other in issue 1, and the two separation and powers play key roles in the series. Unfortunately, the series stays in keeping with White Rabbit in another way, and that is not having her be the most fleshed out and having powers that, while a bit more explicitly defined, are perhaps even more confusing. So the White Rabbit half of Jaina is kidnapped at the start of this book by the Nasty Boys, who are henchmen working for Punchline. This so that she can be used, or her body can be used as an avatar in this kind of real-world first-person shooter that Punchline has created. There's nanotech, she's going to be injected with it and be controlled, it's the whole thing. The Jaina half is saved by Catwoman, who seems to know who she is because she calls her Jaina. Now, nowhere in the past has ever been shown that anybody knows Jaina outside of Bruce or knows the two can split off, but this could be the kind of thing that could have happened off panel, or maybe she saw the split happen and then she explains it to her again off panel before they meet the Sirens, where she kind of explains it a bit more. One can get there though. In this story, Jaina states she can sense where White Rabbit is and see what she's doing. It's not made clear if the reverse is true or if as the source she has more power over White Rabbit. While she can do that, it doesn't seem she can re-summon her from a distance or control her. Although it will be shown later that White Rabbit is able to control someone else, not Jaina. Another character who we'll get to in just a brief moment. Now, a crucial moment in this series is a confusing one, as when the Sirens go to take down Punchline, Jaina stays behind in Gotham, but then is later shown in the same issue in the jail cell with them when captured. This is in the issue-to-issue release. Maybe in the trade it will be different. This may have been an art error, and whether it was or not, could drastically alter what happened in the latter half of the story. As in issue 3, another character appears. Dumb Bunny, no relation to the Inferior Five. White Rabbit describes this by vaguely saying that she can clone herself, that's what her powers are, and that's how she fought off the nanite control she was under, that she just has a different physiology. But because of the potential art error, it is unclear if this is a third bunny that was created or if it's a mutated Jaina. It would make more sense for it to be a third bunny, and for Jaina to be an art error. Either way, it would add another ability, be that the ability to make further copies of oneself, or the ability to make oneself huge, which also raises the question further of how much control Jaina or White Rabbit has over the transformation and what they look like, or whether it's meant to be a decaying copy of a copy thing. Although if that's the case, I'm not sure why she would be huge. There are many questions. Aside from the comedy, why was Dumb Bunny dumb? Was it, as I just mentioned, because of degradation? Was it corruption from the nanites? It's also shown that White Rabbit can talk through Dumb Bunny like a walkie-talkie and also feel her pain. This is not shown to be reversed. It's never shown White Rabbit reaching out to Jaina, or Dumb Bunny being able to feel White Rabbit's pain. It's not ever really cleared up in the issue. At the end, after defeating Punchline, there's a final panel, a Let's Go Home panel. It's a bit unclear if White Rabbit and Dumb Bunny refuse into White Rabbit, if they refuse into Jaina, or if no refusion happens at all and the three of them are just speaking telepathically. The art is not really clear, and the story never clarifies. I assumed a recombination into Jaina, as she is the solid figure in the center, and touching is how they recombine in the past, but others took a different meaning. Now, some of the things added here are interesting, but like White Rabbit's original costume, don't really add anything to the character. While that was there for the visuals and eye candy factor, the changes here are for comedy purposes. Neither really speak to Jaina / White Rabbit as a character. Her personality, motivations, they're all still open. Even a firm nailing down as to what she can do. She's still in many ways a blank slate of a character, but there is potential there for her. She's shown that she can be fun, and her power set is interesting, although one would have to be careful to not veer into multiple man territory with it. But it has been shown that the character can be flirty, mysterious, and play well off various characters. She just hasn't really come together. There's potential here though. There's a lot one could do with her powers. Having an alternate identity with an entirely different look could be a big advantage. Or it could be something that could lead to a lot of strife or be caused by a lot of internal conflict. You could go a bit deeper into how much control does Jaina have? Why does her alter look so different? Do they differ significantly personality-wise? Is there any jealousy between them? Why does White Rabbit want to be a criminal? Does she? Does Jaina make her? Where do her powers come from? Is she a meta? Is it science-based? Is it magic? Is she cursed? What happens if one of them dies while they're separated? There's a lot to play with here, but time of recording also a lot to sort through to get there. But if done correctly, that could be a lot of fun. Can you imagine someone coming and tying all this together and making it feel smooth? Not all heroes wear capes. There is a decent amount of confusion surrounding this character, and I can see why. She's also popped up a little bit in other places, a brief appearance in Future State, the Harley Quinn TV series tie-in comic, time of recording, maybe there'll be more later. And of course, know your usual Legos and those kind of things. And if I missed any, please feel free to let me know. Maybe she was lurking in something nobody mentioned and there she had phenomenal cosmic power. She needs one of those character intro pages. But all of these are just my thoughts and I want to hear yours. What do you think of White Rabbit? Do you think she has potential? Would you like to see more of her? Or would you rather she get left by the wayside? Share your thoughts down below. And while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day spent discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.